Hello, Bert Delisle here. Today I'm going to try and make a few Christmas trees. This year I've decided that's going to be my Christmas ornament for this year. Every year I try to make a different ornament. This year I'm making Christmas trees. So this is by kick at the cat here. We'll see what happens. So I've got a bunch of blanks, about half a dozen blanks, just little pieces of wood, probably 1.5 inches or whatever square. And one of the things I found is by using the Veritas center finder, it puts a nice little marks on the center on both ends. You just lay it in the center finder and tap it with a hammer. When you get a whole bunch of these and you try and stand them up so that you can punch them, I found that doing them one at a time was kind of a pain. So what I like to do is I put an elastic band around them, and that kind of holds them all together. And then when you tap them, they don't fly across the room, and they don't fall on the floor. Makes it a little easier to hold all of them in one place, so you can just go ahead and mark them all. And it just seems like each one supports the other, so when you go on the other side, push them all down. The elastic band just kind of keeps them from scattering all over the place. If you've ever tried to do this with 2 or 3 of them standing up side by side, when you hit one, the other ones tend to vacate the premises. I found this to be a handy little way to do it. It's just the way I do it. It may not be the right way, but it's just the way I do it. Makes my life easy. There we go. Nicely centered. So what I normally do now is I'll put a step center in here. I like the step center drive mainly because it's got a spring-loaded center, so it puts very little spreading pressure on the wood, and the drive is driven by the spikes on the outside. So if you happen to have a piece of wood like this one, which is actually a lamination, and the little indentation is right on the part line, if you didn't have a spring-loaded center, it would tend to want to split the wood, so there's a risk that the wood would come apart. Anyway, we'll set these aside. We'll set one of these in the chuck. And no, the chuck, we'll set it on the centers. And the first order of business is to turn it round. As always, even with a small spindle turning, it's always advantageous to wear a face shield. You never know when a piece of wood might come apart. Solid wood may look solid, but there's no way of knowing if there's a small imperfection or ring check in here, and sometimes that small shard could come flying off and hit you in the face. And one of the rules of wood turning is don't get any blood on the wood, so if you wear a face shield, that helps prevent that. Put a tenon on my blanks so that I can actually turn around and hold them in the chuck. So this isn't even perfectly roughed around, but it's good enough for the first step. I'll go through the rest of these blanks and put tenons on them, and then I'll switch to hold these in a chuck. That lines up pretty good. I always like to run the tailstock up there just to make sure it runs nice and true before I put the final tight on the chunk. And now I try to figure out what I'm going to do for the Christmas tree. I haven't got a written down plan, so I'm going to lose about a 1/4 inch on the top here because of the indentation. I might even leave the indentation because I may put a tree hook on it. And sizing wise, I think that'll probably be the bottom of the taper of the tree. We'll make that about the stem of the tree, and we'll probably put this as a base. So I've got a little extra wood left over here. I could probably make a spin top out of that, or a mouse or something, but that's yet to be seen. So what I'd like to do is, because I lose the pencil marks right away, I like to make a mark with my thin parting tool so that I don't lose my registration when I'm doing the turning. Where was I? That's why I like to mark these things with a parting tool, because if I get interrupted and have to go do something else for a few minutes, when I come back I can take a look at it and I know where I'm at and what I'm wanting to do. And I want to do all this with a skew, so I need to update my skew practice, so I figured that doing a bunch of Christmas ornaments would be one way to get my skew skills up to par. And doing them this way, I'm going to have to be practicing left-handed turning, which is a good thing for my muscle memory. I normally turn right-handed, but on this case I'm going to have to turn left-handed, so we'll see how it goes. So I like this one. It's got a little bit of a tapered trunk. You can see it in between the divisions there. I'm going to flatten off the little sides to that little top on there, and hopefully that'll look like a star. I'll just give that a... Well, there we go. It didn't really turn out looking like a star, but it does kind of look like a little bit of an ornament on the very top of the tree. So I'll practice a little more. Maybe one or two of the next ones will come out with something that actually looks like a star. As it's a Christmas ornament, absolute detail is not really that critical. Most people see it from a distance, and as soon as their eye catches it, they'll recognize what it is, and their mind's eye will automatically say that that's a topper on a tree. And anytime you see a tree with many different kinds of toppers, angels, stars, sometimes bells, sometimes just little balls. Anyway, that's one of my versions of a Christmas tree. Well, that's how easy something can launch out of the chuck when you're getting a little bit careless, or in that particular instance, I had a momentary lapse of concentration. I was thinking of something else, and when I took my skew away from the wood, I lifted it off the tool rest instead of taking it right away, and it got a catch and popped it off. Fortunately, the piece flew in a direction away from me, but I did have my face shield on, so if it would have come up, it would have probably bounced off my face shield. So we'll try this again, and I'll take lighter cuts. Perhaps what I'll do is run over to the grinder and put a fresh edge on my skew. And one of the other things I can do is bring the tailstock up, not tight, but just enough for a little bit of support, and that way if I happen to have a catch, chances are it won't launch again. The whole object of wood turning is to have fun and make sure you keep yourself safe, and this is one way you can do that, is by keeping the tailstock in place as long as possible, and then remove the tailstock just to put the fine little tip on the end. But we're all responsible to look after ourselves and make sure we stay safe. Work within your means, work with the tools you have and keep them sharp, and have fun. I'll go sharpen up my skews now.